So finally, Theresa May did something right. She blew out of the water the myth that university is the best and only choice for today's school leavers. She also blasted greedy universities that charge maximum fees for useless degrees, which are never going to get students a job, which will land them with a 50 grand debt. And she's right, not every teenager wants or is suited to university, yet they are pushed into it, often by their parents. And there's still the perception that the smart kids go to university, the not so smart take up a trade. Which is why society still looks down on those not in glam or high-status jobs and makes them feel like lesser beings, apologetic for what they do. And that's wrong, because all work is noble. Anyone who turns out every day to do something or to make something is doing a great thing. It's time we accepted that happiness and security isn't about university degrees or high-status jobs. It's about young people doing what they want and feeling valued for it.
I completely agree with you on pretty much every point you just made there. I do feel we have an obsession with universities, and I do feel that too many parents see success in their children as being, I know I've succeeded as a parent when I've got my child into university, full stop. Now, university, you know, they're wonderful institutions, and they have, you know, very many causes and benefits and all the rest of it. And for example, if I want to be a brain surgeon, you bet your bottom dollar I need to get myself to university and I need to study, and that's the right path. So I'm not knocking university, but what I am challenging is the fact that they have just become the default mechanism and measure of success. And I feel so strongly about this that I've joined a group of schools called University Technical Colleges for 14 to 19-year-olds, because what I think we need to do is intercept education before you get to school leave age. And you need to start changing the way you teach children technology and all the STEM subjects. You need to get employers engaged into the education. So for me, the whole thing needs a shake-up, which is why I do the work that I do. But specifically on university, I agree, we need to remove the snobbery. Yeah. And I would go as far as saying that actually, if someone wants to go into a field that we really need them, i.e. NHS, nurses and doctors and all the rest of it, I would be comfortable with not charging those people fees or massively subsidising those fees on the basis that they actually commit to staying within the NHS, otherwise they're responsible for repaying those fees if they chose to leave.
Yeah. I think you have to look here and say, look, what was her speech about? Her speech was about she got unnerved in the last election when the Labour Party said they were going to scrap fees and found loads of people who were going to vote for it. I mean, I personally, I say, and therefore, I don't think they've got a strategy at all yet. Hopefully they'll get one. I went to university when I was 24. I didn't have the proper qualifications you need to go. I went to the University of York, and I tell you, it fundamentally...
What did you study?
I studied politics, and it fundamentally changed my life. And I would say to most of the people, if you can go, go. But where I agree with you is that isn't the only...
How did it fundamentally change your life?
How did it fundamentally change my life? Because I learnt about analysis and I learnt about thinking about things in a different way. Up to then, I've been a journalist.
Would you accept, though, that some universities now, and there are some incredible, you know, I'm not saying intellectual, you know, excellence should be stymied in any which way, but there are lots of universities now that used to be technical colleges, which actually still should be. Now, here are some of the stupid degrees that students are paying £9.5 grand a year for: football studies, bakery and patisserie technology, live events and festival production, dance, urban practice, stop motion animation and puppet making, whatever that means. And let me throw a couple of my own in: contemporary circus and surfing technology.
It is important to say, Carole, these are recognised degrees, and if students want to study them, they can.
Stupid degrees.
And students overall who graduate from degrees are more likely to be employed than
if you want to do bakery and patisserie, go and work in a bakery. Yeah. If you want to do contemporary circus, go join a circus. Don't land yourself with a 50 grand debt, and don't take a place up at university to do it.
I'm loath to say I agree with Carole. So
hello.
I'm going to say I agree with Michelle, agreeing with Carole.
You're hot. Oh, that's
and I think
Can I just quickly check who's got a degree?
Yeah.
Well, everyone.
I've got a master's.
No, I
have. You and I.
Yeah, I ain't got a degree. I was just interested.
Well, so what else? I think the mistake was made in the Tony Blair era where he had this ambition, if you remember. He said everyone needs to go to education, and everyone needs to go to university. But the thing is, the natural law of economics kicks in. Once you increase supply to saturation point, you end up diminishing the quality of the product. When everyone's got a degree, it's not worth as much because it's not a commodity anymore, it's not a rarity.
Exactly
and so I don't read into what you're saying that you're in any way understating the importance of intellectual pursuit.
No,
you're not. You're saying that what shouldn't happen is we shouldn't devalue that, because what happened to you will stop happening if we end up offering degrees in those sorts of subjects.
I don't think it is, because I mean, things like football studies, right? I know the people who do that, deliver that. I was chairman of the FA. It was a very interesting
doesn't have to be a degree,
course, a very interesting 3-year course. I think you're being snobbish when you think they've got to study philosophy.
The focus should be on the people. For years, the government has focused on university students. The focus should be on people who choose not to go and the things that they choose to do instead of that.
I think a lot of this is actually about schools. I think your point was really interesting, Michelle. But the kids who are studying football studies, I wouldn't knock a degree that's not traditional like that. But I would question, what does someone think they're going to get out of it? And the reason I think a lot of young people are being set up is that they're going and paying now a phenomenal amount. I paid £1,000 a year for my university tuition. Now it's £9,000 a year, and it's going to increase. They're paying a phenomenal amount, being saddled with lifelong debts for things that they're not clear about. They're not clear where it's going to take them. And a lot of that is about the career of guidance we offer in schools is shockingly bad. We've had report after report. Young people are not being equipped to make good choices, and a choice that they should have is a path to vocational training, which we currently have never got right in this country. So I agree with you, Carole, that I think that should be an option. But I think it's important to separate these things. People who want a vocation should have a non-university option to getting a high-quality vocational training. People who want the intellectual pursuit of a degree, and that can be a force for social mobility. It's not just a kind of intellectual, a holiday for the elite. It should be something that working class kids can do and that can change their lives, and that should be an option for those who want it, knowing the cost and knowing where it will take them.
Would you accept there is a snobbery against people who don't go to university and don't have degrees? Now, I've been accompanied with people who say, I'm just an electrician or I'm just a shop worker, and it makes me...
But part of this is also companies, like, for example, Penguin now are employing people who don't have degrees on professional paths. You shouldn't have to have a degree.
Certain city firms are beginning to do
it. Well, when I first went into journalism, you could get into journalism with 5, what were then, GCEs. Yeah. You really could. Now you need a degree.
Yeah. And
but you've also got to accept that, I mean, this year I think is the highest percentage ever to go to university. It's 49% of people who could go who are going. And I don't think that's going to change, if you want my honest opinion. I think kids want to go, and I think their parents have now got the aspiration.
It might change if massive corporates start offering, what Afua just said, start offering jobs like they used to without stipulating that a degree is a condition. Now, there's one or two banks and consultancy firms have started. I think Penguin, you said, have started that as well. But they need to advertise that. Degree not necessary. So people realise the culture is beginning to change.
It will be interesting. Are they going back to 5 GCSEs?
Last thing, because what you said about having enjoyed your university, judging by your age...
Yes. He's still alive.
I imagine it was free when you went.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You probably got
and
a
that's the
grant,
difference.
Even.
Yes, I got a whole grant. Yes.
But I don't think it's healthy for our culture to encourage young people to begin their lives £50,000.
Can I just bring Jeremy Corbyn in on that point, please, because he has spoken directly about it.
We are determined to make sure that those in this country that go to university, and we all benefit from the skills that they develop in university, don't end up saddled with massive debts for the future.
And I think that is an important point, but needs to be taken in the round of the idea that we need to change our thinking about degrees. Those who want degrees should not be saddled with these kind of unsustainable
We shouldn't be listening
debts.
to Jeremy Corbyn, who promised students lots of things before.
No, he's still promising them.
But yeah, but you know, we have to get ready for what's coming. You know, the former mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg, he said technology is soon going to take thousands of middle-class jobs, and he said that very soon the average plumber is going to have a brighter future than the average college graduate. So it plays to your point of saying when everyone has one, they're not so important anymore.
Is right, because I've got a recruitment company and I speak to employers all the time
and
they want a degree, but they want it often as a filtering mechanism to help them. Right? Okay, you know, they're sifting through so many applications for the jobs, and jobs that to your point as well, that you never needed a degree for. Now they recommend, I want this degree. But that needs to change with employer mentality.
But it's interesting. There was a survey came out recently that said lots of employers now would rather have people who've had 3 years' experience in the workplace than people straight from university.